Today, the Sunshine Coast in Australia had an earthquake which measured 5.6 on the Richter scale, which is not normal for the region that I live in. And I was actually teaching a yoga class at the time it happened. The walls started shaking. Everyone was going, "What is happening?" And I was at the grocery store about 5 or 6 hours later today, and I ran into a friend and she was telling me that they had an earthquake in the Mornington Peninsula. I think it was like a 3.9. That was 48 hours ago at the time of recording. I've been feeling psychically that increased earthquake activity is occurring. If you've been here for a while, you may remember that in a previous live video, if you happen to catch that live reading, I mentioned that there's certain pockets within Australia that I believe are pretty much set up to become the first light cities within the nation. The first one is the Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, Byron Bay region. The second one is the Mornington Peninsula. You can see now why I was like, whoa, that's a little bit interesting. And then the third one is somewhere in WA, but I don't quite know just yet where that is. It felt more than a coincidence that within the last 3 days we have had 2 earthquakes in these areas that is not normal. So if you are not Australian, you don't know much about Australia in terms of the earthquake thing, we don't have a lot of earthquakes in Australia, especially ones measuring 5.6. We are on a large tectonic plate. We don't actually have any fault lines on or near us, as opposed to, say, New Zealand, which experiences a lot more earthquake phenomenon because it's a lot closer to the fault lines. In this video, I'm going to open my psychic channel, connect into my spirit guide counterpart, Mahlia. You may have seen her in this video when she was talking about Atlantis, because she comes from Atlantis. I'm also going to ask her about Japan. I'm getting a lot of earthquake energy in Japan, more than normal big earthquake energy. But if you are in Australia, have you noticed how many people are going to Japan at the moment? I have a feeling that on some level, many of us are trying to get there before it experiences more of these earthquakes. I'm not trying to create fear here, but I do want to be honest about what I can feel and what I can sense coming forward. And you know what? I hope it doesn't happen. When I mentioned this to my friend, she was like, actually, you're not the first psychic that has mentioned this. Apparently other psychics are talking about this as well. If you're new here, my name is Andreas. I'm a professional psychic, human design reader, and tantric facilitator. If you would like to get a psychic or human design reading, or if you're interested in tantra and sacred sexuality, you can find my readings menu and my tantric work down in the description box below. Let's get into it. New day. This is good. Good energy. Let's see where this wants to go. Let's call in my team, calling in this for the highest good and only for the good of all, for me, for all of humanity, for all of Australians as well. Let's take a few full breaths. Opening up my channel in the highest light, and so it is. I'm just adjusting to Mahlia's energy. I work with Mahlia pretty much every day. She is my homie G spirit guide. Whoa, she's really up in my heart space right now, just opening up the heart. She does have an accent. I don't know why. I often feel embarrassed about it. It's the only energy that I channel that does happen to change my accent voice. I don't know why. Clearing the field. Welcome. My name is Mahlia and I'm here and excited to be here. This is a tremendous time. Andreas is already quite surprised by my enthusiasm, and I have come in very strongly and enthusiastically about these proceedings with your earthquakes. There is a time of celebration taking place within the inner earth realms of your Gaia experience, because there is more light coming through to the surface now from the heart of Gaia more than ever before. And these epicenters that Andreas has been shown in his psychic endeavors is just one of many revelations that will continue to expand as we move forward in each new day through your ascension and awakening process. So let us get into it. My name is Mahlia. As Andreas said, I come from the Atlantean timeline. I use the word timeline to make sense of it, but Atlantis never fell in the grand scheme of things. Atlantis fell in the timeline that you find yourself in now, in the history, you could say. But there are other timelines that exist where Atlantis never fell. And I want to say that Andreas and I share a bond that is, we are the same soul branch. We are the same oversoul. So we are inherently connected. In no way is Andreas tuning out of himself in order to connect into my frequency, because we come from the same 144,000 soul branch. There are 144,000 soul branches here within humanity, and each one of those soul branches has millions of souls within it that walk upon the earth at many different times throughout your history and now. And Andreas and I are part of the same. So, the earthquakes that find themselves making their way now will only continue to grow in number and intensity in some places. These earthquakes are like ripples of both density and light coming through to the surface. Think of this as when you boil something, when you boil anything, food in water, what you do is you create the heat, and the heat creates the bubbles that rise to the surface. Well, the heat coming from the inner earth is rising to the surface, and what that is releasing is pressure and tension. It's releasing out old yucky energy, you could say. It's shaking that out of the earth's vibrational field. But not only that, it is also overlaying the energetic of peace onto the planet, particularly in the places where it is happening. So you might think, well, how is it possible that it can both release tension and also bring about peace? Have you ever done a practice where you shake out your body and release frustration, only then to find peace afterwards? So that both are possible at the same time, and it is in doing the release of the tension that the peace becomes available. So in this way, there is a butterfly wing unfolding in these areas, these epicenters. And yeah, there's going to be more. There is going to be more than just the three that Andreas mentioned. But these three places are special places. And many spiritual people, including Andreas, and you could say perhaps Andreas is biased, but I would say he came to the Sunshine Coast because he was invited to by soul. The land of these places is inviting people to go home, to a frequency that they know, to a frequency that they want to live in. So if you find yourself yearning for these places, if you find yourself intuiting to move to one of these places or somewhere else, I would say go. Go, because your soul is trying to move you closer towards the fifth dimensional timeline frequency that you're ready for. And when you have the yearning to move to these places, what you're doing is you're calibrating to the frequency in these places. And the frequency in these places is high, crystalline, vibrant. You can feel it when you go. You can feel it in the people. You know it by the conversations that they have, by how open their heart is en masse as a society in these regions. So these regions are experiencing a little boost. But not only that, they are the regions that can hold the release of the tension that needs to come through the earth plane. The earth plane does need to release the tension, the old density, just as we do as humans. And so there is an agreement with the souls on the subconscious soul level that live in these places, that the earthquake goes to those places because the people can deal with the release of tension that the earthquake causes. They can dissipate the tension into love very quickly because of the resonance frequency of these places within Australia. The Japanese portfolio, this is Andreas. That just felt like a random thing to say, but I'll go with it. Thank you, Andreas. The Japanese portfolio of tsunami and earthquakes is robust. And as Atlantean beings, we take a lot of connection to the water Indeed, the Atlantean beings are masters of the physical substance that is also crystalline in nature that you know to be as water. We are the experts of water. So Andreas, I'm going to move into the water frequency to connect into Japanese, to connect into the Japanese. Activating the water dragons. Mahlia thought it would be best for a water dragon to be the spokesperson of this next phase of this video discussion. We are the water dragons that sit around all countries, but especially the island nations. And we are here to represent our land that is Japan. Andreas is hesitant to speak on behalf of Japan, and he is not. Keep in mind that he knows not what this is going to reveal or what we are going to say, and yet he is here allowing us to come through, which we are grateful for, Andreas. Japan is going through a baptism into its rightful birthplace as a crystalline kingdom. Japan is very close to being in one of its highest expressions, one of its highest frequencies, and out of all the nation states that you know of within your worldly existence, Japan is one of the highest frequencies. Yes, there are underbellies in Japan. And yes, there are things that go below the surface in this world. However, Japanese culture, Japanese respect, Japanese life has with it a frequency of devotion, love, and connection that allows those within the culture to experience a connection to their divinity. It has not been lost. There is a washing taking place. There is a reckoning, you could say, where increased water-based destruction is likely to fall upon Japan. Andreas is seeing this continuing all the way up to year 2028. However, nothing is going to wipe Japan out. Nothing is going to destroy Japan. Nothing is going to remove Japan from the map. Instead, in very much a Noah's Ark fashion, this is a washing of Japan, and what resurfaces through this experience, these global events, these tectonic events, and the water inundation that results is a rebirth of the water dragon energy, where the hearts of the human beings there, the Japanese people and all inhabitants of that land, will feel a connection and calling back into something that feels like ancestry. And through that connection back to ancestry and tradition, there will be an up-leveling of consciousness to take Japanese people back home to their highest frequency, to their fifth dimensional reality expression. Not all countries go through experiences like this, and yet some have necessitated this experience. So all the Japanese people, or people that choose to be there when these experiences take place over the coming years, they have at soul level chosen to be there to experience, yes, some upheaval, but mostly the up-leveling and connection back into their roots and their highest seed frequency of consciousness. So This is what we are privy to say, and we will hand over back to Mahlia. We are just recalibrating. There are many exciting things coming upon the earth plane very soon. And although they will feel like more turmoil with events such as these, know that they are heralding signs that you are doing the job that you came here to do. You are doing the job you came here to do as light beings, as light worker souls who are up-leveling this place, this home of yours, so that it truly feels like home. This is the theme you are hearing from me today. There is a tremendous applause. The earth is in relief for the events such as these. Know that if you are in Japan, no fear is to be had, as the dragons explained. And if you are living in one of these places that have experienced an earthquake recently on the Australian mainland, well, you may feel a little bit of an expansion buzz taking place over the next few days. This is all I wish to say, and handing back to Andreas. Let's pull some cards. Pulling cards for the earthquakes that just happened here in the Sunshine Coast. Unlimited possibilities. This is the Shamanic Oracle. That there's this expansion of expanding the energy, just as Mahlia was saying. And you can see that through, oh shit. I probably should be using a table for this. It's a bit hard, but you can't make this up. Emotional release. The release of the tension that the earth needed to do. This expansion of consciousness, yes, this peace that comes through that she was speaking to. From this experience, whoop, there it goes. Yes, growth in the consciousness. You can't make this up. Unlimited possibilities, yeah? We're opening up, we're becoming more of this sovereign earth, this sovereign 5D frequency. The earthquakes were an emotional release that also caused growth. So all of my tech basically just died, and I'm gonna finish this off in my bedroom. Is there anything else in the highest light that Spirit would like us to know regarding this? Okay, so we got omens and discernment. Now, these two cards interestingly fell out together, and both of these cards, omens and discernment, is about don't get fooled by the media. Don't get fooled by the fear-mongering, yeah? There may be signs that say, oh, this is all going to be doom and gloom, but I'm really hearing that we don't want to be doing that. We don't want to be too worried about that. Love. This card is about, it's about love, girl. I mean, it makes total sense. The return to love, the return to the original blueprint within the Japanese culture. That card wanted to fly out. I'm shuffling really low. Let's shuffle a bit higher. My camera not set up for this. Oh, interestingly, bottom of the deck, movement into balance. I mean, if that doesn't sum up what the dragons were saying, then I don't know what does. I don't know what does. I have this feeling that there's one more card. There you have it. It is without any joy that I speak to these earthquakes taking place within. This is interesting. There's a card in the box still, and I just saw it, and I just feel like I want to see what it is. Ascension. This is the Ascension card, and you know that is really what the dragons were saying, that this is about ascending. This is about ascending people back home, yeah. So to anyone watching that is worried about Japan, is in Japan, I don't expect this to be necessarily easy and straightforward. However, use that discernment, because this is part of the ascension journey for Japan, to take it back to its highest expression that is appropriate for the culture of Japan. That's what I see there. And don't let anyone worry you too hard. If you resonate with Mahlia's energy and you see more of my channeled work with her here, then you might like to check out this video where she goes into Atlantis and some of the more interesting parts of Atlantis. She is an Atlantean being, so she's really cool at talking about Atlantis. And she also, from the Atlantean perspective, gave some of her thoughts about this year of 2025. If you are on the spiritual ascension journey and you love energy updates, psychic guidance, and even we often just go into like some fun conspiratorial stuff as well that kind of makes my teenage self absolutely shine, I invite you to like and share a comment. That always supports this video. And of course, to subscribe to our channel and growing community here on YouTube. I'll be back for another regular upload soon, but I wanted to get in as soon as possible and record this on the back of those earthquakes as an in-between video. I hope you have a beautiful day or evening when you're tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.